Okay, this is the customer walkthrough for the Thor, the 2018 Thor Quantum. We'll start in the back here. Here's the backup camera. That comes on automatically when it's in reverse, but I will show you when we get into the dash how you can drive with it permanently on. It's nice to be able to drive with it constantly on. But when it's in reverse, it automatically comes on and the radio turns down a little bit, so that's nice. You're not allowed up on the roof. There's no reason to get up there anyway. You're just not allowed to get up there. It's not allowed to tow, so we got this locked, the hitch locked up. You can bring a bike rack. We can lock a bike rack on or whatever, but you need to bring it with you so we can lock it on because it's not allowed to tow anything. Starting over here, a big compartment here is just going to have a rug. Make sure you put that down so you don't track dirt in. Especially if you're in a sandy location so you don't track in sand. This is just a pop-up trash can. You'll want to remember to bring trash bags, not only just for the pop-up trash can or whatever, but also to store the sewer pipe, the sewer hose and stuff. You want to just store it in there, and that is right here. And you also be a good idea to bring get disposable gloves because it is messy dealing with these things because you got to clean it. You hook it on. So those that are not familiar with the hookups, what this is a big long sewer hose that has an elbow in it, and it hooks. You can twist this cap off, and you can clip it in right there. It goes on and turns, and then the other end goes right into the ground. Now there's two types of camping. There's boondocking, or also called dry camping. That's when you're camping and there's no hookups. There's no water, sewer, electricity or anything. So it's called dry camping or boondocking. In that event, you want to keep an eye on the tanks. There's gauges in there and I'll show you the readouts there. But you don't want to get them too full, obviously. But you'll go to a site, a dump site, a lot of gas stations. Not a lot, but there's a handful out there that have the RV dump stations. And sometimes you can Google which gas stations they have those. It needs to come back to me on empty. There's not a real close one nearby, and it's a lot of work and messy work for me to do it, so I charge for that. So you'll want to make sure that it's all dumped, all the tanks are empty. There's the gray here. That's a gray tank. That's for the shower and the sinks. The black is for the toilet. Now, the one tricky thing with this unit here is there's two black pulls. There's one over on the other side. It's kind of hidden. I'll have to show you that when we walk over the other side, but there's black here and black here. Black over there and then the gray. If you're in an RV site with the sewer hookups, you got the hose hooked into the ground, you can just pull them all. Pull this one, and the other one over there, and now it's like a house at that point. But if you got to dump it, when you take it to a dump station, you hook up the hose. You'll want to pull the blacks first, this one, and then the other one over on the other side, and then pull the gray. The idea of that is for the gray to wash out the black. And then before you put the hose away, you'll want to spray it off really well, and I'll show you the hose to do that. Here is just the propane. The generator. It runs off of propane. You can start from here. You can take this cover off and start it if you had to, but no need to worry about that. You just can start it from a push button inside. Here is where you plug in. There's a 20-foot or so long cord that plugs right into there, and then if you're at a campsite, there's a power pedestal that's for that plug. It's like a 3-prong plug. I have an extension cord and an adapter, so if you're at a house where there's just a normal outlet, there's an adapter for that normal outlet. But all RVs are going to have this style of plug. But again, I have an adapter for a normal outlet. This is the TV. Like a lot of campsites, I can pop that open. Oh, that's full. Well, it's kind of. Oh well. That is a TV, a coaxial cable to plug in the TV. Nobody really uses it that often, but a lot of campsites have the TV, the little coaxial cable input there for TV, for cable. It's wired for cable, so if you put in a coaxial TV cord into that, you know, the cable at the RV site will put cable into the TV in there. Oh, let me show you the keys too. Here's the keys. This is the Mercedes key. It just flips open like that, like a switchblade there, lock and unlock. This key here is for all the compartments. You'll want to travel with these things locked. I wouldn't just trust the latch here. You want to, when you travel, you want to make sure those are locked. Also, be careful with the lock. Sometimes because they're outside in the elements, they get a little stiff. And I had another key that was just about to break, and so if it breaks off in there, we're in trouble. So just be careful not to turn too hard, not to force it. In here is where you're going to find the water hose for the water. This is the adapter here. When you're in city water, when you're using water from the city, you have to use this thing. This is a pressure reducer. Sometimes city water can have too much pressure, and you could cause damage to the plumbing inside. So when you're into the city water, it's just like right here. It just tightens over the pressure reducer, and then at the campsite there'll be a water spigot, and you can tap it in there. There may be like a splitter where you could use this this other hose. There's a little green hose here. You could find the splitter, and they're hard to keep track of. Sometimes they just don't get returned, but it's really not necessary with this unit because you have a shower here. The splitter would be so you don't have to keep unhooking your hose to clean your feet off or whatever. So with this particular unit, not really necessary because you can just use the shower here. And the key for that is these little brass ones here. These little, not brass, these little silver ones here. And you would just, again, it's a little stiff from being outside. You got a hot and cold shower here. So really not that necessary. Back to this. This is the portable water hose. You have to use this hose. You do not want to mix up the hoses. If you can come in here and look at this, it's just buried here. There's a hose there. It's in a container called black flush hose. That would be the hose you would use to clean the sewer hose. Do not mix up the hoses. You know, that'd be bad news. You start cleaning sewer hoses with the hose that's for the unit. People that RV a lot swear by these things. These are really good because when your sewer hose is on the ground into the ground into the ground, sometimes it just sits there and lays flat. This is kind of an accordion style thing that you can stretch out, and so it's a gradual slope. So it empties, the hose empties, and it's just not sitting there level, flat on the ground. We're not that fancy of a unit to where there's a self-leveling system. You have to level it yourself. It's important to level for two reasons. The fridge, it's not good at all on a fridge to run when it's not level. In fact, this slope here that I'm on now, a lot of the times my fridge won't even work when I'm just on this level ground here. So I don't even turn it on when it's parked here. It's just hard on a fridge to run level, so it's a safety mechanism that shuts it off. Also, it's hard, this whole wall comes out as a slide out. It's hard on a slide out if the unit is not level. There's a lot of torque and pressure on those motors if it's not level. So very important to level this thing. There's a level in the dash. I'll show you that. I just keep a small level in the dash. But this is probably the quick and easiest way to level it. So in this case, the front tires need to be raised. And so if this was my front tires, I put this under my tires like that and drive up on it. These levels are only going to get you so far. They're only going to get you this high. In the event you need to go higher, you know, that's kind of uncommon because most RV sites or wherever you're parked, they try to keep them pretty level because it's sort of a must to have a level RV. But if you have to go higher, and these blue bags are like, I call them like giant Legos. You can stack, they fit in together, and you can stack them up a lot higher than you could with these yellow ones. So if you have to go higher, you can use these giant Lego things and go higher. The other option is you could dig out. I don't have a little shovel in here, but you could also do that. with regards to the tires, well, there's a little tool, before I move on the tires, there's a little tool bag in here. There's a pressure gauge, hammer, and some other tools, some rope, flashlight. But, oh, here's a little nozzle to clean, to hook onto the sewer hose, to clean up the hose, to get some pressure. With regards to the tires, I keep on top of those. You don't want to blow out. Well, it's going to delay your trip. It's automatic roadside assistance, which I have. You just call me and I get roadside out there. It's 24 hours. They have to do it. There's not even a spare on this unit. Even if there was a spare, it's way too heavy for you to change yourself. But the other problem with having a blowout is that tread can start whipping around and cause a lot of damage, break fiberglass, rip out wiring harness and everything like that. So I always stay on top of the tires. I do my best, get them rotated as often as I can. But there is that pressure gauge. It might be a good idea to check the pressure. Written in the door is the pressure on what these are supposed to be at. If in the event you did have an issue with the tire and roadside assistance came out and fixed the tire, you gotta keep that tire. I have a thing called Tire Shield, and I have to show that tire to get reimbursed for it. So that's happened in the past where the guy come out and get the tire and hauls it away. I need that tire. Okay, showed you the city water, showed you the shower. Here is just another big compartment. I am weary about people storing too much stuff in here. You can see all this wiring. This is where the water pump is. If you had stuff in here sliding around, you could maybe, damage some wiring, some components in here. So don't put really anything in here that's going to slide around and cause an issue with the wiring. Here is some triangle reflectors, so if you did break down, you can set those out off the side of the road. Here's a funnel for the DEF. Okay, so this is a diesel. I'll show you this under the hood. New enough diesels require DEF. It's called diesel exhaust fluid, and there's a readout on the dash. I'll have to show you that as well. If it gets too low, it goes into limp mode and just barely moves around. It's to clean the emissions, and so it's like a 6-gallon tank. 1 gallon of the DEF fluid, you can go about 1,000 miles, from what I'm told. Although it feels like it's less than that once it starts getting below half. But you want to use the funnel. Sometimes you can buy the DEF at any gas station, any grocery store. Everybody carries it. Sometimes those jugs that you buy have a funnel with them. This here is just a simple tire iron. I failed to mention the stabilizing jacks. They are right under here. It's going to be hard to see, but there's two on each. One on each side, rather. There's 2 total. So what these do are there's a button. They're electric. There's a button in there by the door that you can lower these things. And you kind of need these things because this is a narrow chassis. It's just a Sprinter van, and that wall comes out quite a bit. And so, being so narrow and that comes out so far, you need those stabilizing jacks to keep it from moving around so much. One problem though, these things would be very, very easy to drive away with these down. If you drove away these down, you'd cause a lot of damage. There is a slight, I wish it was deafening, but there is a hum, there is a buzzer when the key is on, when the car is on. If these things are down at all, it'll alert you, but it's not very loud, and if there's a lot of commotion or distractions, you might not even hear it, and you could easily drive away with those things down. So there's two huge musts you cannot do with this unit. Don't drive away with the stabilizing jacks down, and do not put regular fuel in this. This is a diesel. I'm about to show you the diesel where you put the diesel fuel in, but it'd be easy to do that as well, to grab the regular fuel nozzle and put it in there. That would wreck this. But back to that tire iron, what that was for. So these are electronic. These come up and down with electronic switch. If that were to fail on you, we're dealing with electronics here. If that were to fail on you, you would use that tire iron and you can lower it manually down with that. It would take a little bit, but at least you wouldn't be stuck. Okay, moving on. This is just the water heater vent. No need to get into there. It's a tankless water heater. Here is the propane. you need to bring this back at the same level you took it as. I like to try to send it out with full, but sometimes it's a little bit below full or whatever. But you take it to any service station that sells propane, and they do it for you. They have to. They're licensed. Propane. Okay, here is where you fuel up the diesel. I wish this was glowing, flashing light, diesel only, but there's a pretty good warning sticker there. So you want to make sure you don't get the wrong fuel in there. Mirrors are good. These mirrors, this one swings a little bit. I mean, I've got that other one that's a 32 footer. This one's only 25 feet, but it'll still swing. You always want to take wide turns. Constantly watch your tail ends on both sides when you turn, but you just do wide turns. Gas stations are especially bad because you got to get close enough for the tank to reach the tank, and so just be mindful of that. But these mirrors are good. Oh, let me pop the hood so I can show you the depth. And again, I'll show you the readout. The dash is on the cluster on the dash to see where your DEF fluid is at. Sometimes it's a little hard to find, but I'll show you what it looks like. This is where you'd put the DEF. You just unscrew that and you pour it in there, and you just keep an eye on the gauge on the dash to see where you're at. What I don't like about this, well, there's lots of things, but one of the reasons is you can see it get crusty when it spills. And it's corrosive in nature, so it can over time start eating away with the plastic parts. So just be careful not to spill. You can see the last person who put it in wasn't that careful and got it some places it shouldn't be. But just to be wary of that. If you did have to jump it, if the battery was dead on you, this is a positive terminal. You can push this in there like that and expose the positive terminal, and then the ground would be right there if you wanted to jump it. The battery is under the driver's, well, it's right when you walk in on the driver's seat. You can access it, but this is where you would jump it. Forgot to show you the oil, but everybody should know how to check the oil, but it's under there. So I'm going to show you over here. Moving on over here. This is just a TV. I have a DVD player in there that you can bring out here and hook it to. There's HDMI inputs on it. But there's also another TV inside there. I'll show you that. And here's another storage container. Some camping chairs, which may or may not be mine. Okay, here is where you fill up the freshwater tank. You don't need that pressure reducer that I showed you. Remember I showed you that? Sorry, that was loud. That pressure reducer on the end of the hose, you need that when you're in the city water. You do not need that when you're just filling up the freshwater tank. You can go straight in. In fact, it'd take too long anyway. Just keep an eye on it. You don't want to overfill it. Again, just like the black and gray tanks, there's a readout for the freshwater tank. This is the furnace filter, the vent for the furnace. This is the vent for the fridge. Don't need to worry about that. This is outside. This is just some outside outlets. This is a quick connect for propane. I don't have a quick connect grill or anything, so that's never really been used. Oh, back to the propane. I failed to mention the generator runs off of propane. So that's unlike a lot of other RVs out there that run off the gas tank off the engine. This one's a propane generator. Okay, and this one is where the power cord was. This goes into over on that other side, just plugs right in. You can turn it and tighten it on there. And then this is that plug that at RV sites the power pedestal will have. Again, as I was mentioning, if you're at a house like we are here with just a normal outlet, no outlet like this around, you can plug this in here, and it's an adapter to make a normal house outlet. And there's an extension cord here 50 feet, so you can reach. While we're here, if you can get under here, and I can show you this. It's right under here. Here's the other black tank pull. It's kind of hidden, but if you didn't end up pulling that one, you're not going to drain anything in the tank. The tank is right here under the toilet, and you got to pull this to release it down, so it goes down this tube down to where it exits out of the hose there. Here's the other stabilizing jack there. Okay, moving inside.